But there aren't that many people that can write really great copy that kind of, stands out from that. And standing out is more important than ever.
I guess the fascinating thing, but also the scary thing, is how quickly AI is getting better and better at everything it's doing. I mean, I started doing clones 5 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it was pretty awful and rough back then. It would mess up things and it would look weird.
Mm-hmm.
It gets better every day. 2 weeks ago, all of a sudden, you could call my clone and it could speak to you in any language. A week ago, you can do a video call and it can speak in any language. It seems to be getting better and better every day. And you mentioned Alex Hormozi and Gary Vaynerchuk, two people pretty well known to a lot of this audience. I consume a fair amount of content from both of them. I think I bought every Gary Vaynerchuk book. He's definitely inspirational and talented. But there's a part of me that wonders, are we that far off from me being able to talk to a Chat GPT or a Claude or a DALL-E and say, create me a character that's kind of like cross between Gary Vaynerchuk and Alex Hormozi, have him use the F-bomb every now and then, have him say outrageous things,
right,
have him scream and curse, and have him do this, and this. I'm not so sure that we're that far away from an AI being able to create a persona that might generate just as big of an audience.
Well, I don't know that the next iteration of that kind of is another Alex Hormozi, who's outrageous and cursed. He's kind of done that, right?
Yeah.
Maybe it's a more human, like when I was just listening to you talking, right? It was very sincere and it was very from your heart. And it was very not the sort of thing you see from AI. And I think that humanness is what is going to come to be valued, that human, because to some extent, we also want the connection, right? It's not just, it's that there is a person behind the Harry Potter novels. There's a person behind, this person that I follow, whether it's Alex Hormozi or Gary Vaynerchuk. And is he going to buy the New York Jets or isn't he? And feeling like you know him and seeing him even at events. So I think that humanness is what's and you're also your experiences that you've had. I imagine that when you talk about experiences that you've had that are genuine experiences that have taught you things in life lessons, and that a lot of what you teach comes from that. And that's something that AI doesn't have. Human experiences. It's never felt emotions, and it's never going to be able to. It's always going to be able to kind of write credibly to some extent about them, but it's never going to be like someone speaking from their heart about them.
I don't really know. I'm not sure. I'm not going to be adamant one way or the other. We got a comment from Janice of Unconventional Advice. It says, cursing. Maybe that we don't want to go there in the humanness and personal. And Sunny says, I agree, TJ, is gaining on us. So Janice, I think I'm kind of like you. I have a certain style. And to me, it just seems sort of tacky to be cursing. And we all have different styles of communicating at different parts of life. How you speak at a funeral is different than how you speak with your best friends while watching an athletic event over a beer. We all have different ways of life. Gary Vaynerchuk isn't my style, but let me be candid here. Gary Vaynerchuk is many, many, many times more successful than I am by the metric of audience and, personal net wealth and also book sales, and he curses all the time. I mean, part of his appeal is he doesn't seem like everybody else, and that has in fact worked for him, even though, Janice, it might not be the style you prefer or my prefer. What I'm not so certain of is whether or not you can't have an AI programmed to be an outlier. You could specifically give a prompt, create a persona that 95% of people will instantly dislike, but will resonate with people who are like this specifically because they don't like people over here. And they like the fact that this person is offensive to these. I think you could create, with enough prompts, a persona like that.
Sam Parrish talks about positioning, not in a marketing way, but in a planning way, positioning yourself and your business and your life. And I think what you're doing to me is positioning. It's very intelligent, because you're not saying, oh, it's going to go this way, and so I'm going this way. And you're not saying it's going to go this way, so I'm going to go this way. You're saying, I don't know which way it's going to go. Could be in any one of 3 or 4 different ways, I am going to be ready no matter what way it goes. I am using AI. I mean, look at you. You're like on the forefront of using AI clones, right? I'm doing it. And yet I'm also learning about copy, and I'm learning about how can I be more human and stand out from that. So you're kind of, you're being smart, which I think people
Well,
need to do.
I hope so. No one really knows where all this AI stuff
Exactly.
is going. I'm placing a bet.
Right.
At some level,
So you're
every
placing a
human,
couple of bets, which I think
yeah,
is the smartest thing to do.
every human being at some point has a philosophy of the future, whether they realize it or not. You buy a house, you're thinking it's not going to get blown down tomorrow, and it's going to be worth more. Otherwise,
Mhm.
you'd rent a house. Everyone has a philosophy of the future, whether they realize it or
Yeah.
not, and they're acting
I
on
think
it.